Always a great time. I cut the nets, fellas.
I'm a swerve and
Yeah,
the
that
corner.
go to-
Okay, let's bury that hatchet. All right, what's going on, guys? How we all doing? Andy, Brian,
Doing good. How about yourselves?
good. It's been a
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year, 2025. I still really can't believe that we're in that year, 2025. I can't. It feels weird. Feels futuristic, kind of simulated in a way. I don't mean to get all AI on y'all, but yeah, that's what it feels like, 2025. But we are returning in 2025. Cut the Nets basketball podcast, your basketball podcast that you enjoy on your Thursday night while you're going to bed. Maybe you listen to us when you fall asleep, which I thank you. Or you listen to us on your work commute. You listen to us on your morning breakfast, your morning run. You choose to listen to us on your morning workout instead of Gucci Mane. I don't know. We'll see. Or the Jello song, the Jello song, the Tweaker song that's been sweeping the NBA nation. And I had no idea about it. These guys told me about it. Andy and Brian told me about it. Jello, man, what a hey! If he tries to get in the NBA, this might be the only way he can get in.
Yeah.
This is the only time he's ever been in an NBA locker room.
Yep.
When you think about it, though, LeVar Ball, even though Jello didn't make it to the league, he's still batting 3 for 3. You got Lonzo. You don't have to say anything about him. Everybody knows who Lonzo is. LaMelo is running the Hornets by himself right now. And now Jello, despite all the stuff that went on with him in college, he's got a career as a musician.
Yep.
LeVar really batted 3 for 3. Maybe all those first take segments back in 2016 where he was saying he was better than MJ paid off. What do you know?
Plus, if you remember, they said Lil Dicky's the fourth Ball brother. So that's another
There was
musician.
Lil Dicky Ball. This was true. Yes.
I think we've mentioned that several times in our history.
Well, let's do it again. Why not?
Yeah.
Hey, it's the year of new beginnings, baby. We're gonna throw back to old things and start with new things.
New Year,
Let's
same
have fun.
tradition.
Yeah.
Just like
New Year,
our
same tradition.
NBA insider.
New Year, same tradition.
Rachel
Cat's
Nichols,
dusty
I love you.
voice, still who he is. He's on the Knicks, no longer on the Wolves, but still zesty.
Rachel Nichols, I love you. Not as much as Jimmy Butler, though.
I think I haven't seen her in forever. I think she's got her own show going on, right?
Yeah,
the Rachel Nichols show, I believe it's called.
Yeah, or All the Smoke or something with
what a title.
Yeah, All the Smoke with All the Smoke with Steven Jackson. And who's the other guy? Matt Barnes?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But anyways, welcome. Obviously the NBA season has started. We're probably approaching the halfway point pretty soon. I mean, the next 4 to 5 games will be the halfway point of the NBA season. I don't know if you guys watched the other episode, but the last one thing we uploaded was the Western Conference predictions. I could probably put them on the screen right here. Our Western Conference predictions. Ba-bam. Yeah, and obviously predictions are predictions for a reason. They don't really have hardly a chance to be correct unless you're, Biff from Back to the Future Part 2 or something. But I think the only prediction I'm really high on is the Houston Rockets. They're the second seed right now, half a game ahead of the Grizzlies, which, hey, they're doing pretty well too. Behind OKC, which is we all knew was going to be the best team in the Western Conference. Maybe the NBA, but we had no idea where the Cavaliers were coming from. We had no idea that what they had up their sleeve with their signings of Kenny Atkinson as their new head coach. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley really just coming onto his own and just a well-oiled machine. Okay, quit. Keep your dick in your pants.
You want me? Oh, you want me to talk?
Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah, with that Cavs baseball cap.
I will say, I think we're going to get into more of the nitty-gritty on this later, but the only thing I'll say for now is I knew the Cavs were going to take a step up this year. Did I think it was going to be this big of a step? Did anybody, all the delusional Cavs fans I know, think it was going to be this big of a step? Absolutely not. There's still a lot of season left. But it's been pretty fun so far, if you ask me. So
31-4. Or sorry, 32-4. They beat OKC.
That
this
was a
past
fun
night.
game. If we're not going to get 7 games of it, because to be honest, I don't think one of those teams will make it to the finals. But that was a great game for the NBA as a national product to try and draw back a lot of. I feel like they keep saying ratings are down, right? I think that
They
was a
are.
perfect game to kind of get people back on board. See, like, hey, this is basketball. This is NBA basketball. Come back in. Like, we're not. You get people complaining about all sorts of things with it. Oh, they're jacking up threes. They don't care about the regular season games. That was a very fun regular season game, whether you were a fan of either team or not.
You want to talk about this though? The reason why ratings might be down. I mean, do you guys have differing opinions or anything like that, or is it?
I mean,
just
I think it's a multitude of things. I think just one, I think just like the politics involved in it, just like in general, just like the players using their platform, and then also just like within the sport itself of like I want to play with this guy, I want to play with that guy, just like the roster movement of it. And then I just think like they're kind of losing the older fans because like the Steph Currys, the LeBron Jameses, the Kevin Durants, they haven't been dominant these past couple of seasons. So I think it's kind of just like a multitude of reasons. And I think I was talking about this a couple of days ago. I think the NBA as a whole has been the most athletic and talented in terms of its players, like across the whole league and in a long, long time. But I feel like the NBA is still looking for that like next guy of like who's going to be the face of the NBA and like who's going to carry on its back. Like post LeBron, 'cause obviously he's going to be retiring soon. So I feel like they still haven't found that one guy yet.
we thought it was Anthony Edwards last season.
Yeah.
Wasn't. He's still got work to do, especially with the loss of Cat. Now they're hovering over 500 in the standings in the Western Conference. You see his attitude towards getting double teamed because he's a superstar, and he's like, he's just complaining about it. And I'm like, dude, that's not what a superstar does. You don't really have the superstar complaining about, oh, I'm getting double teamed all the time. That's why I'm not playing well. I'm not. That's why I'm shooting the ball, at a low efficiency.
And it doesn't help that he's now getting Julius Randle of old and then Dante DiVincenzo.
Sometimes players play well within their coaching system. If you put them on another team, they just become a shell of themselves.
Yeah.
That is Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah. I mean, talking more about like the ratings and stuff like that, though, I do think, Jeremy, you brought it up yourself. The fact that like the person that really a lot of people saw as a jumping off point for the NBA, like this is our next superstar that's, from America, we can market around. I feel like people like him. They like his personality and stuff like that. And he says something like he doesn't like being double teamed. Like that just goes against, that's the exact opposite of the guys the NBA has marketed around for so long. Like
For sure.
MJ, like didn't run from the grind, has 9,000 quotes about how you're supposed to work hard every day. Kobe, LeBron, if you want to throw Tim Duncan, KG in there, whoever it is. I mean, it's just unbelievable that like someone that is supposed to be the face of the NBA is going to say something like that. The other thing I'll say when it comes to why people don't like the NBA so much, I think this has been a problem that's crept in for a while, especially if you talk to some, like, with all due respect, some old timers. Maybe they were alive when Jerry West won his one and only NBA title or something like that. But even for me, who loves the three ball, there are a lot more threes being shot. Not in every game. I hate when people say that like it's ruined the game completely, how like it's unwatchable, because not every game is the same. But the Bulls and Hornets have combined twice this year for 2 games where they missed 75 threes combined each.
Oh
like
my gosh.
that's an NBA record that they set and then tied again this year. Like some of the NBA basketball we're watching, for lack of a better term, it's kind of disgusting. I'm not going to lie. Some of these mediocre teams don't have a real draw because even if they make the playoffs, they're going to get bounced by the Thunder, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Cavs, whoever it is. There's just there's no bargaining room for some of these like smaller market teams that aren't really going to do much except be mediocre. Even the bigger market teams. I mean, I'll go on and on about how the Chicago Bulls have been stuck in mediocrity for a while, but I don't want to make this a 3-hour podcast. My point is the product that people grew up with, and it has not evolved in the way that I think a lot of people saw the game evolving in, and they're just kind of turning away from it because it's not the game they grew up with. Brian kind of brought that up too with the icons of Steph, KD, LeBron, whoever else you want to throw in there. It's a much different game.
Yeah,
You know what?
Going off, like what?
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, going off what Andy said too, like for me, in my opinion, like I know the three ball is brought up but for me, I kind of think it's like more of a defensive type of thing. Like I think people kind of miss like the hardcore and like physicality of basketball and like have these like low scoring games as opposed to like how like Andy said, like teams are just chucking up shots. You're seeing more games and like more high scoring as opposed to that like defense thing. And also like I think the flopping and like the fact that they put in a whole like foul and like rule for flopping, I think that's just another reason why ratings are down. But
You guys kind of think that maybe one of the reasons why the ratings are down is because of the change of the shot clock to 14 seconds after a possession. After a grab possession by the same team on offense. I was looking it up earlier, and the NBA adopted it in 2018. And yeah, ratings are still pretty high. And in 2019, the ratings are still great. But then 2020 hit, and then more threes were being chucked because of the fact that they have only 14 seconds on after the 24-second possession. And offense flows faster after that. I mean, we were only just getting used to getting 14 seconds after the shot clock, but it was just now 7 years ago, right after the Warriors won their 2017 finals, that the shot clock was 24 seconds every single time.
yeah, I
guess
mean, I think
that's something I thought of. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I've never.
It's something I'm looking into because yes, threes are being chucked at an alarming rate because it works. Three is better than two in points, but the threes weren't really that bad, even though I guess the rate at which threes were being attempted increased in the 2010s, especially with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and James Harden, Damian Lillard. Can't think of any other 3-point specialists right now, but people really didn't mind much of that because of the fact that there were still other ways to get the ball in the basket due to another 24 seconds. And that would lower the scoring. That would make the game a little bit slower. But still, if you made a three in transition, it would still be considered a fast-paced game because, well, you're shooting a three. You're on a fast break. You're on a 3-on-2 or something like that. So I feel like people aren't really getting that understanding as to why the ratings might be down. You probably should consider the shot clock to 14 seconds because it has a gradual shift over time. And with the increases of threes, that's like the only play that most coaches are using now because they don't have much time after an offensive rebound. If they kick it out to someone on the wing, or if their center, who's usually 20 years ago a power forward, he's actually a smaller size center because he can get out to the wing and probably shoot because he's a stretch big, or he's like inside the 3-point line, can get it to a wing player. It's a much shorter amount of time to get that ball in the basket. Therefore, that's why the speed at which the ball is in the basket increases when it comes to scoring. So might have to factor that into as well. Of course, I've been looking at other reasons as to why the ratings might be low. A lot of international players are coming in, and we were all hyped with Victor Wembanyama, but the American people would rather have an American-born player be the number 1 overall pick and shine just like they expected them to. 2019, you have Zion Williamson. Can't seem to get healthy. Missed 2 months with a hamstring injury this year, and the Pelicans they're seething. They're just in shambles right now because they're all injured. We mentioned Anthony Edwards, number 1 overall pick in 2020. Number 1 overall pick in 2021, we have what? Cade Cunningham, right?
Cade
Cunningham.
Yeah.
He's starting to pick it up a little bit after being injured the first 2 seasons, but he's in the Pistons. And the Pistons they're better than last year, but
it's a hard team to get national attention on,
exactly.
Unless you are the 04 Pistons and win it all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 2022. Who was that? Was that who's that? Number 1 overall pick in 2022.
Yeah, we don't know ball.
We don't. Fuck.
Paolo
Who was the?
Banchero.
Paolo Banchero.
Oh yeah,
He's
so
on. He's on a smaller market team in the Orlando Magic, and yeah, they're a fun team to watch. But he's all. What isn't he injured as well? I think
there's like
he's also.
five of like their best players are injured.
Yeah, and so there's not like that number one overall pick going to the Boston Celtics or going to the LA Lakers or going to the just a phenom player that has that marketability and like a LeBron, like a Michael Jordan, or a James Harden, a Kevin Durant, a Russell Westbrook, something like that. And you just don't have that marketable player because of the way that they are perceived online on social media. People are quick to critique everybody now these days because of how fast things are. So with that being said, I mean, there's also that what's the word, that journey from a player who comes from rags to riches. So you had players like Allen Iverson, who was born out of a poor area from where he lived. You have Derrick Rose, who was born in a poor area. LeBron James was born in a poor area. So you don't have that player anymore because a lot of NBA programs that camps that get you to the NBA are really expensive, really, really expensive. So they're only applicable to the wealthy few. Hence why you have top 3 pick in Reed Shepherd. You have number 1 overall pick. Was it Alex Sarr? No, that's
Zachary Rasasher.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have much of a base for families who have that prodigy kid to get them out of the poor area that they lived in, and go from rags to riches. You don't have that because things are getting more expensive. Tickets are also way more expensive.
True, but like at the same time, like I think now like there's been more like NIL access. Like you see, like college athletes are getting paid millions on millions. So I think it makes it, and like especially now, like you don't have to go to college; you could go to the G League. Like I think
Yeah.
there's more. I don't know. I kind of disagree with that because I think there's more access and like chances to make money off your name, and like I think you could see more of that like prodigy kid.
We'd have to look into like prodigies that are quote unquote prodigies, like the next face of the NBA. Look into like where they were brought up and how they ended up where they got.
Yeah.
Whether they go into G League Ignite or college, and they're offered millions and millions of dollars off ad revenue and stuff. We have to do a little bit more research about that, but there's a lot of reasons why NBA ratings might be down because of that. Those things.
The one thing I'll add on to it is I think historically the face of the NBA in terms of like an American player has always been like a guard or like a small, like some sort of swingman. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, whatever it is. People like to log on and see the highlights of the high flying dunks and this and that and whatever it is.
Vince Carter too.
Vince Carter, I think, is a great example of that as well. I don't think like it's not a bad thing that like it's that they market that. It's just that I think it's fair to say big men are usually not like the face of the league solely themselves. I don't think it's crazy to say that.
Shaq was an outlier, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Shaq broke the, he was definitely, I mean, everybody knows who Shaq is. Everybody knew who he was at the time. Everybody still knows who he is. But it does not help the case that the guy that's leading in like all statistical categories, who's won, he's a 3rd MVP, probably chasing his 4th, is a big Serbian dude, not known for his high-flying ability. He just scores in monotonous ways, if you ask some people. Not everybody. I think 3 of us here see the beauty in a nice post hook, fade away, baby hook, whatever it happens to be. Not everybody sees that, though. And the fact that Nikola Jokic is, I mean, even if he's not your best player in the league, no one disputes that he's top 3. I think it's just hard to capitalize on that because he's foreign, he's a big man, and he's not like a high flyer or anything like that. It's not a knock on him or the league. I just think that's a hard thing to market. Other than like, people are so, they talk about voter fatigue. Even the voters are tired of voting him MVP. Are people tired of watching him go out and have a triple double like in the first 3 quarters? Like it looks like it's nothing. It's just that something has to change. Whether it's Cooper Flagg's going to come in and fix everything or whatever it is, and maybe it's not even that big of a problem. But I just don't think that's helping them when it comes to the ratings. Hopefully that Cavs Thunder game brought some people back into it and a little more reinvigorated to see that, hey, yes, all the hoops that you remember and these teams are going at it again like it's 2016 all over again. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
I think no, I mean I agree with you. I think you even answered your own argument partially it's because he's Serbian, but I also think it's just the dude legitimate, and it's kind of like what Jeremy was saying about Anthony Edwards of his stuff with the media. Nikola Jokic doesn't love basketball, and that's kind of that. It's really a job to him. And I think that's the other aspect of the NBA, and they wanted marketability. It's be like Mike, and then they wanted it to be like Ant, and then they hear the way Ant talks, and now it's I don't want to be like Ant. So I think and Jokic he literally cares about his horses, and then the money he gets, and then goes back home to Serbia to take care of the horses. So I think just like that, but Andy, it's interesting you brought up about the big man not being marketable, because I think any basketball fan can agree that the NBA dunk contests have been kind of awful these past couple years.
Oh my gosh!
And and for the participants have been big man, and they don't really do anything crazy. I'm a Knicks fan. I'll defend my Knicks, but Jericho Sims had no business being in the dunk contest, especially when at that time he's getting 2 to 5 minutes per game. I mean, Obi Toppin's not a traditional big man, but his dunk contest was pretty cool. But that's kind of because he's more of the swingman built, like Andy said. So,
are you saying that Brian? Are you sorry to cut you up? Are you saying that more NBA players that have, the face of the NBA should be in more dunk contests or more high flying athletic types of competitions to increase?
I mean, that was just an example, but I think I still think LeBron is one of the most athletic and freakishly players in the league, but even he doesn't participate in dunk contests, and he has one of the sickest tomahawk things, and the alley oop that he's had, those are iconic moments that I think can build it back up. I just think that type of stuff. The NHL has and the MLB has a rule of they want their players to be in the All-Star games. It's an opportunity to shine more light. They'll suspend you for a game if you choose to back out of that. I think the NBA should look into that and kind of adopt that mentality.
They'll suspend you if you don't go to the All-Star game?
Yeah, if you if you're allowed to go, they vote, you get voted in or whatever, and then you're yeah, I'm not going. You get suspended.
Was Jose Altuve suspended for a game? Because he decided to opt out of the All-Star game last season.
I don't know. I know the MLB is kind of trickier on the rule, because I know Pete Alonso said because they want him in the home run derby, and he was I'm only going to the home run derby if I go to the All-Star game too. So I know definitely for the NHL, the MLB is kind of tricky on that, but
yeah, we'll see what happens with this as the NBA season goes. How they handle the All-Star game festivities and the playoffs when it comes to just people viewing, because it's a bit alarming. And people are kind of pointing fingers as to why the NBA viewings are low. No, it's just mostly because of the stuff we discussed. Really, it's nothing really has to do with anything with politics or no creativity or variety in the NBA games or anything like that. I mean, views went up whenever Amen Thompson just completely threw Tyler Hill on the court. And
that was a fun night in the NBA.
That was freaking awesome. I watched that game and I was like, this is a great time. Or when Jalen Williams did a little pivot move to get the ball in the basket. I think he fooled one of your Cavs players. Everyone thought he
Mobley going up and around, and I was screaming at the TV that it was a travel, and I watched
it was not a travel.
This close.
That was not a travel.
Yeah, he did not move his pivot foot. All right, I was wrong.
Yeah, it was a great play. He did not move his pivot foot. It was great footwork. I saw a video of that, and then with comments, and people were like, "Real ones know this isn't a travel. Casuals don't know anything right now."
The travel, non-travel arguments in Instagram comment sections. I never participate in them, but I like spectating them because you just it starts off very normal, just not a travel, obviously. And someone's like, what are you talking about? You don't know ball. And then you skip down 50 comments. And it's I'll have you know, I averaged 2.4 points a game on the St. Murray 8th grade basketball team in 1942.
It's more than LeVar Ball. It's more than Stephen A. Smith. Sorry.
Skip Bayless, what? He was 1.4 or something like that. Yeah. So there you go.
We don't talk.
It's
We're not
something.
talking about Skip Bayless right now.
We're talking ball. We're talking ball. We're gonna stick with this.
Speaking of your Cavs, man, let's get more in depth with them. How are they doing? I mean, it's
Well,
rhetorical, but it's rhetorical. But
I mean, I think anytime you could say you're 32-4 and riding the win streak that they're winning, I think it's obvious. I'm not going to sit on here and say that there's things to improve on, because there's not much you can even point to in terms of like what is there to improve on. I mean, I don't know exactly what Kenny Atkinson has brought. I mean, I could tell you like what I've seen personally, and I don't know if he's invigorated the locker room in a different way that's going on behind the scenes, but the on-court chemistry that all of the players have, it was there last year. And granted, we had some setbacks. Donovan was hurt. Garland broke his jaw. Mobley was out for a little bit too. But the chemistry that the guys play basketball with, it's just unbelievable. They were good last year, but they're even better this year. So it still feels like night and day. I think there's also something to be said about him going with a deeper rotation of guys, because if we didn't, we would have never known that this Ty Jerome fella. Okay, I make it sound like no one knows who he is. Everybody knows who Ty Jerome is. But I mean, my goodness, you talk about an X factor. Where did this come from? This is unbelievable. I think that's one of the big unsung heroes of this Cavs team. I mean, some of the games where we had some guys out early in the season, he was putting up, 25, 27 points, like all by himself. It just really goes to show you that on any given night, if the coach has your back, and I think you're on a well-coached team with a great supporting cast like the Cavs are. I mean, if Ty Jerome can do that, I mean, it just goes to show you how deep this team is and what they're poised to do the rest of the season.
is there any sort of trades you think they'll make?
So the name that's been floated around the entire season, even before like the Cavs started getting on a roll. Let me be clear. With the chemistry that they have exhibited so far and just the flow of everything, I don't want to break off anything from this team. I think you definitely keep the core four. The supporting cast around them has been great. You can't complain about 32-4. My opinion is you don't get too aggressive. However, people want Cam Johnson. And I want to know what you guys think about that. Yeah, but specifically Cavs fans have been, his name has just been floating in the Twitter circles. It's been a quiet whisper because you don't really have the room to call for people's heads when you're 32-4 or whatever. But Cam Johnson seems to be the name that keeps getting floated in these circles.
Yeah, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets are basically a fire sale team. So any team would we'd love to have Claxton or Cam Johnson or any of those players. I mean, they pulled the string for Dorian Finney-Smith and D'Angelo Russell for the Lakers. So it's really funny how D'Angelo Russell just keeps going back from Brooklyn to LA every single time.
Just passing him around, man.
Just passing around, yeah. That former number 2 overall pick
from Ohio State.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if I should celebrate that, but he's one of the few best in the NBA. So
he had a really good trajectory until he went back to LA, or I guess went to Minnesota. If he stayed in Brooklyn, he could have been special
with the bench mob Nets in like 2019.
Oh yeah.
But no, Andy, I think you're right. I mean, I think the Cavs are balling. They're a legitimate team. I know it's only 36. They've played 36 games. They're in the 37th right now with the Raptors, but they're a legit team, and I mainly think it's due to Kenny Atkinson. I think just how great of a coach he is. Like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think Kenny Atkinson is the most underrated head coach in basketball. I think he knows how to fix teams and propel them. I mean, he took over for a dumpster fire Brooklyn Nets team when they were fresh off the Garnett, Pierce, Jason Terry, when they finally got over that. Yeah. And he propelled them, and he's allowed the success that the Nets had when they got Durant, Irving, Harden, which I know they didn't win a championship, but that was still a huge success to them. And now he's doing that to Cleveland, because like you said, it's not like in addition to Atkinson, they like drafted some like generational talent, or they signed like some marquee. It's literally the same team, and he's just getting way more out of them. So I think like Andy, you said you didn't know if there's stuff going on. I think it's just like behind the scenes of whether it's like just his coaching philosophy, or even just like I feel like they're enjoying basketball. Like I think Garland, like Mitchell, like I think they're just having a ball, and they're really just like loving basketball. Obviously, they're loving winning. I mean, who else doesn't love winning? But like they're doing it, and like Cleveland basketball is restored.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be good for a long time because the core is locked up and young, and they have the guy. Atkinson, in my opinion, is an NBA Finals caliber winning head coach. I don't know how they attack the trade deadline because like you said, like, do they need to make a deal, or it's like, do you want to go all in and acquire someone like a Cam Johnson, who I think would be a great fit? Now, Brooklyn's asking price, I think, is like 4 first-round picks. So if they want to do that, but I don't know if first-round picks get tossed like candy nowadays. So
Yeah.
I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know if you guys knew, in the next 7 years, they have 31 picks.
We might get drafted in that class. Shoot.
Yeah, dang, dude. Honestly, it's become a fire sale team for it's like worse than the Billy King era. Worse.
Somehow.
Arguably worse.
And like, I mean, right, I think they're going to start losing some more games as the season gets later and this fire sale continues. But like, right now, they're not even bad enough for like the Cooper Flag, the Dylan Harper, the Ace Bailey. So this could like
Mired in
really. I mean, I
mediocrity,
know they have
brother.
31 picks that they can easily be like traded for, and like there's other drafts. But like, I think if Brooklyn misses out on one of those top 3, I think the dark days in Brooklyn go even longer.
Yeah. Speaking of Brooklyn, let's move to the other side of New York. The New York Knicks. Brian. So I was not very high on this Karl Anthony Towns blockbuster trade that moved a lot of pieces that the Knicks and Wolves did, inevitably angering Anthony Edwards, making the Knicks a bit kind of confusing because you got Cat back with Thibodeau, and they didn't really have that great of a relationship in Minnesota when he coached him. But after the first 5-6 games, Knicks are pretty good, pretty damn good in the Eastern Conference. Tell me about it, man. Like, how are they? How did they come about from their slow struggle at the start of the season towards the midpoint?
Yeah, so obviously they made that blockbuster trade for getting Cat and then giving up Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, which at first I wasn't too happy about.
I know. I was like, Brian, you seem upset. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I love them both. It was just because like Dante, he's just such a fun guy to cheer for. He's with his Nova Knicks. And like he had the best year of his career. Julius Randle, like I liked Randle. I know like the downside of Randle when he tends to be a ball hog and stuff, but like he fixed New York. Like Jalen Brunson was named captain this year, and our last captain was Lance Thomas. I think Julius Randle should have been the captain.
Lance Thomas.
And that's all you need to know. Like, first of all, like it's not a requirement like in hockey that you have to name a captain. Like, I don't get why they gave it to Lance Thomas. I don't know what he contributed. Like Julius Randle, like I said, like Kenny Atkinson fixed Brooklyn and is fixing Cleveland. Julius Randle like fixed the Knicks. So like in that aspect, like I have that love for him. But like, no, I mean, but like, and then Knicks also got Mikal Bridges. So, like when you drastically change your team, obviously you're gonna have a slow start, and they did. And then they figured it out, and they were hot. Like they were on an 8 or 9 game win streak until they lost to the Thunder last week. But like this team's
scheduled loss.
Yeah, but I don't know. This team just like something about it just still scares me. And like, granted, Mitchell Robinson is still out, and then like Jericho Sims, the backup center, has been fucking awful. Like I like this guy Huck Porty. He's a rookie. I think he should be playing over Jericho Sims, but I don't know. Like you look at the standings, Knicks are 25-13, 2.5 games out of the Celtics for second, and the Knicks are like the best team in the league and like offensive rating and everything. But I don't know, something about this team just still scares me. I don't know if it's the fact that they're last in bench points. Their bench just hasn't been contributing. I mean, I like Tyler Kolek. Like Deuce McBride's been hurt, so that's why it's been a little more. But like Landry Shamet played his best game as a Knick against the Raptors a couple of days ago. Like they have, I think, like the players, but they're just not producing. And like I think Tom Thibodeau holds this team back. I really do. I just think like you look at his coaching career, he only has 1 title and it's an assistant to Doc Rivers in Boston. And I don't want to hear the argument, oh, when has he ever had a team as talented as this one? Like the Bulls, he had Derrick Rose, youngest MVP of all
The
time,
Bulls.
who he
They were
ruined
number
his
one
career
seed.
of. Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson, like that's a solid team. He's had solid teams in Minnesota too. Like I don't really understand. And obviously he has this Knicks team and last year's Knicks team, and he just seems to get guys hurt, like he did to Derrick Rose, like he did last year. Like Mikal Bridges has the Iron Man streak of consecutive games played. Like when he got traded from Phoenix to Brooklyn, he even played 83 games in an 82 game season. The way he's pushing this team of burning their starters, I forgot
That's
who
what
it
he
was.
does.
Whoever they played before the Thunder. Oh, it was when they lost to the Bulls. They lost to the Bulls, and he played every starter at least 40 minutes. Then they had the back-to-back, which they obviously also lost because they burned the starters. That's why they just ended their 3-game losing streak. But it's just his coaching philosophies, and he's a defensive-minded guy, and the Knicks defense has been atrocious this year. I don't want to praise Kenny Atkinson again, but I think if he was the guy I called for to be the Knicks head coach instead of Tibbs. I think Kenny Atkinson would easily, if he was the Knicks coach, I think they're easily going representing the East in the Eastern Conference Finals. Just because I think this Knicks team is poised to beat anyone on paper, as far as what the Knicks should do, I don't know who, but I think they need another trade. Now I don't know the level of degree they have to go, because I don't think they need Jimmy Butler's the hottest name on the trade rumor. I'm not saying go out and get Jimmy Butler because you
He
don't
might
really
be in
need him.
Houston.
But I just think you've got to get someone, and I think the easiest way is like Josh Hart's been good, quietly good. He's the heart of this team, pun unintended, and the physicality, and I think he had 20 and 12 the other day. But I just think that he needs to kind of go to the bench, be that bench anchor, 6th man of the year candidate, him and Deuce. And then I think you got to get a little bigger and get a true power forward. I don't know, to complement OG, Bridges, and whatever. I don't really know how Mitchell Robinson's going to come back. Maybe he gets moved. How are you going to manage his minutes? Because, it's just the Tibbs effect, as I call it. I just think the Knicks are going to get to the second round of the playoffs and then lose again. I don't know who. I know they own Cleveland. The Yankees own Cleveland, Guardians too. So I'm not worried about losing to the Cavs, but I'm not worried about losing to
The
the
number
Cavs.
1 seed, 32-4 Cavs.
I don't know if that will last, but I'm not worried about losing to Cleveland because I don't think that's going to happen. But it will be such a Knicks thing of they'll lose to the Detroit Pistons, who are currently playing right now, or the Bucks or something.
Okay.
Or the Pacers.
They gotten better. They were pretty trash the first
no, they have
15
gotten
games.
better, but
they've gotten better.
Just my thing is just listen, Tibbs fixed the Knicks too, and he now makes them a playoff team consistently, but
playoff team.
Tibbs just can't go much further.
I see where you're at, Brian. I see where you're at. I agree with you. They should be in 22 Jump Street, you just want to break through the ceiling, All right. And they just can't seem to break through because of little things in the organization that can be fixed pretty easily, like a backup center, maybe looking at the coaching situation. It's just I see Mikal Bridges right here, and I'm looking at his overall stats and game by game. He's played 47 minutes, guys. 47 minutes against the Wizards. The Wizards. I don't know. I'm not sure what game it was. Maybe they went to OT or something, but you gotta have somebody backing up against
47
Bridges.
minutes. My goodness.
47 minutes, my dude. It's insane. The amount of grueling minutes that Thibodeau puts on his starters. You got 44 against the Jazz, who are one of the worst teams in the league. The next game, they played the Wizards again. This is December 28th and December 30th. 36 minutes. And then again, it's just Mikal Bridges plays an average of 39.1 minutes per game.
I was
Anyway,
listening to you.
I know, but I want Brian to listen to me.
Sorry, what were you
So,
saying?
as
about
I was
Bridges?
saying, I was talking to you how like I feel like there's just something that is missing. You're right. That can't be answered on paper. And that is, of course, the coaching situation, the backup center situation, because you really can't trust Mitchell Robinson's health over the last 3 seasons. You really just can't. When he's on the court, he's really good. He gets boards, gets putbacks, offensive rebounds. It's great, but you need to be on the court. And if you're not on the court, then you're kind of useless.
But sorry, what were you saying about Bridges?
So on December 28th and December 30th, back-to-back games against the Washington Wizards, like one of the worst teams in the league. Bridges plays a total of 83 minutes in those 2 games, back-to-back.
It's just crazy.
47 on the 28th and 36 on the 30th. Now, I don't know if it was like an OT game, because obviously, 47 minutes likely would be an OT.
Well, who was the other opponent you said?
Both were against the Wizards.
The Wizards.
Yeah, I remember. So the first one, we barely won, and it literally took a comeback. I don't think it went to overtime, but it was a comeback victory. And then the second one, it was a close game, and then the last couple of minutes we prevailed. But I don't know. It's just
So,
they play down to their competition, and then they always play their best basketball against the big teams. And like you said, December 28th and 30th, the game before was Christmas. They played the Spurs, and that was when Bridges had 41. Yeah, 41 points against the Spurs. So, Tibbs is burning him out, and I'm telling you, he's going to lose that Iron Man streak. And I'm just praying that it's not a significant injury.
Yeah, no. It's just it's a habit he's always kept with him throughout his coaching career, and it's what really will kind of inevitably kill the Knicks in the end because of their lack of really high potential of being a finals contender or Eastern Conference contender, for that matter. But
yeah, the last thing I'll say on the Knicks is I think you kind of already talked about this. You don't want to run your guys into the ground. I mean, we talk about how the Knicks are going to need their guys, especially the superstars, their core of Cat and Brunson, and if you want to throw Hart in there, whoever it is. But they had that 3-game losing streak. Brian, you brought up that game against Chicago, which was a part of it. They score something like 15 less points every 100 possessions when Cat's on the floor versus when he's not. And Cat was out for a little bit there too. So if you need any more evidence that they need these guys on the court, again, this is how Tibbs has always been. But I think if he takes a little bit more approach and trusts the rest of his lineup, I think this Knicks team starts catapulting themselves to being, not just an afterthought as one of the teams that's just not the Celtics or whatever, and to be in serious contention. But
yeah, and the Knicks can win games without heavily relying on Brunson. Against the win against the Raptors yesterday, he finished the game with 13 points. You can still win without him. You can trust your bench more because at the end of the day, you want to bring up their last in bench points or their bet. They barely get a chance to do it, and even then, they're keeping still one or two starters out there, and they're still getting the main bulk of the workload offensively, and just I don't know, their 3-point defense is horrendous too. Because going back to that Bulls game, Kobe White and Lonzo Ball were just pretty much shooting and making anything they want. So I don't know, something I think needs to change, whether it's a move or something. Because obviously Tibbs still shouldn't get fired, but I would be happy if he did.
a nice little treat.
Big words from Brian Ramos.
Yeah, for sure. Let's transition into a topic of conversation that people have been discussing, especially with inside the NBA. You got First Take. You've got a lot of naysayers who aren't Rockets fans. The Rockets are the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, half a game up the Memphis Grizzlies, who are no slouch either. But it feels like non-Rockets fans are saying this is just sort of like a defensive mindset from courtesy of Ime Udoka and the players who are willing to listen to him and play their roles effectively. There's really no star player on the team. You You can say Alperen Şengün, but he's not really a star player. He's more of a complimentary all-star, in my opinion. He can get you that double-double, but his defense is still lacking, and sometimes he doesn't really know what he's doing on offensive possessions. He kind of feels like it kind of does too much. Feels like he's kind of leaning towards Steven Adams and then all of a sudden he has great footwork in the paint and gets a bucket. But he's young, and there's room to grow for sure, definitely throughout his career. So maybe he could be Nikola Jokic, maybe in the next few years. But right now he's doing great. I got no qualms with him. The Rockets' offense is so bad that they inevitably win games on defense because they against teams that aren't great, they have a ton of issues when it comes to just like shooting threes, and it kind of feels like the Rockets are a team unlike any other in the NBA where they can't just they can't make their threes, and they're a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. They mostly get points off their fast breaks, especially with Amen Thompson. Love the dude. He is being shown on the spotlight in the right ways, especially with that fight with Tyler Hero. There was a podcast of I think who was talking about Amen Thompson. I think it was an NBA podcast with former NBA players saying how great he's been playing, how he's just pretty much a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, where he just gets 20 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Especially with Tari Eason being out, he gets more minutes. Reed Shepherd's going to the G League. He definitely gets more minutes with that. And he's been phenomenal. Oh, Jabari Smith Jr., he's got a wrist injury. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. That's why he's got the starting role. So the Rockets really use a lot of their defensive additions to really appear like a playoff contending team. I'm not saying they aren't. They're a playoff contender. There just needs to be that one extra piece that makes them go over the top with a player that can really close on a consistent basis. Can't rely on Fred or Jalen too much right now. Jalen, what do y'all think about Jalen Green? I gotta know.
I mean, he's on my fantasy basketball team, so I've actually been following him more probably than ever.
Okay.
But from what I've noticed, I like him. I just think he's too inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Exactly.
He's still very young, and that's kind of been the Houston Rockets team is very young. So I'm not going to necessarily place a determination on anyone's career. But from what I'm seeing right now, I just think Jalen Green can and will never be the guy on a championship team. I just think he's a solid 2. Maybe even better, a solid 3.
He's
a 6 third or fourth option.
I think he's a 6 man. That's his ceiling. When you're a second overall pick and you're 4 and you still haven't really broken the ceiling, you still haven't really had a breakout year, and you don't have any injury history, you're kind of a bit of a bust. Kind of.
The criticisms are going to be there for sure. Yeah. And I mean, you take a look, his scoring is up from his other averages and stuff like that, but his efficiency has not made that next leap. I think a lot of times for guards coming into this league, you're expecting them to not have the jump shot figured out. You're not expecting them to come in right away and rough up these huge 30-year-old dudes, grown-ass men, to score the same efficiency they did in college or high school, whatever it is. And that's fine. You give them a couple years. But it is year 4, like you said, Jeremy. And I don't know if we've seen that big leap up in efficiency. I mean, I think a little bit from the outside. I think he's shooting better from the outside than he has in years past. I could be wrong in saying that.
He's shooting a bit better.
Okay.
Again, the last few games in January, he's averaging 25 plus points, 49% from the field and 34% from 3. So
that's more like it out of him.
Yeah, that's exactly where we should expect him to be. But for right now, his 3-point percentage is around the same, 33% from 3-point range over the last 4 seasons. It's been the exact same. In fact, his best season was his rookie year, shooting 34% from deep. Okay. But he's averaged at least 67 games each season, and it's just been the same all year round. around the same amount of minutes, same field goal percentage, 42, 41%. He'll have those spurts, those couple week spurts where he just looks like the player that we drafted him for, but it's inconsistent. He often gets lost and tries to take everything into his own hands and just try to play hero ball. And if you can do that, if you're Kyrie Irving, if you're Stephen Curry, then fucking do it. But if you can't, you gotta play an Udoka system and just feed the hot hand, know your role, get in plays where there's dribble handoffs, you're cutting to the basket, you're getting free off a screen. Just do that. Don't try to play hero ball one-on-one and try to chuck up a three every time you get the chance to. There was this one play that Green did. We're playing against the Lakers, and he was getting double teamed in the corner, and there was about 5 seconds left in the shot clock. And I'm like, Jalen, either you call a timeout or you try to find a pass. He chucks it as if he's shooting a three, and it airballs. But luckily, Amen Thompson's IQ instincts were there, and it looked like an alley-oop pass, but with a shooting hand.
Great pass.
Okay.
Great pass.
Yeah, great pass.
It goes down as an assist.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people, especially people that are non-Rockets fans, see like Amen might be the face of the league for the Rockets. Might be the face of the Rockets. So, Jalen, just to me, is just a six-man, maybe a Malik Monk type player, Jordan Clarkson type player. Just not really consistent, but when he's hot, he's hot. He can get you there, but not on a daily basis. And so that's one of the issues I got with Houston. Again, I'm more than happy of what's been going on. The Rockets are great, doing amazing, winning key games against key teams. I mean, they won against OKC with Shea on the court, even though a couple players were injured. They won against the Lakers fully healthy.
You blew out the Wizards, I think. I know it's the Wizards, but still, big blow.
They were down in the first quarter, but the thing is, whenever they're down against a team that they should beat, 10 to 15 points, years past they would just let them get lost in a blowout. But no, they've overcome that, and that they'll find a way to come back and eventually beat the team and outlast them, whether it's 10 points or 20-point deficit.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see. I'm liking where they're going. I just don't know how long they can do this, how long it'll stay, because I know there's going to be a tipping point where the Rockets are just going to lose that steam, lose that magic, and start losing consecutive games. And it hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting, because it's going to be very strange for the Rockets to be a top 3 seed with no All-Stars.
Yeah,
really.
That's what I was going to say, is that I think it's actually, even though they don't have a bona fide, I guess, identity that you want to brand them with. I mean, you could say defense is their identity, but you know what I mean in terms of like the superstars and all-star, who you're going to like, who is your face of the franchise for years to come, whatever like that. They've won in spite of not having like I think like a true blue identity there, right? They've won in spite of that. You've had, I will say, a couple injuries haven't helped your case. Jabari Smith's out for what, like 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think in spite of that, you've had Amen Thompson, you've mentioned, stepped up. Cam Whitmore has been doing great
I got some issues with Cam Whitmore.
What I've seen. I got some beef.
I got some beef. He's great. He's amazing. He just doesn't know how to carry himself in front of a camera.
Yeah.
He just went into this weird depressive state whenever he had 18 points in 17 minutes. Great. Love it. He's a fantastic athlete, can shoot the 3-ball pretty consistently, but he got upset that he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here, and it's just I just don't feel like I'm doing as well as I should be. And he was just like beating himself up. And there was a lot of TV footage of his body language towards Tari Eason, towards Jalen Green, towards Amen, towards Fred, and it's after a game in which they won, and he was a prime factor in it. And he just doesn't really seem to appreciate or seem to like understand like where he's supposed to be headed, where his trajectory is headed. Yes, he started in the G League this season after doing very, very well in his rookie year, but Udoka was trying to figure out the lineup schemes, and I think it's finally he finally figured out. He tried Reed Shepherd for a little bit. He didn't really pan out very well. He's got to gain some pounds. He's got to shoot the 3-ball more consistently. I mean, Shepherd is an amazing talent, guys. I mean, he hit 49 points in his first G League debut game. 49 points.
Yeah.
Phenomenal game from him. So he's definitely going to be there as a mainstay in the Rockets rotation, especially for a 3rd overall pick. But I'm just kind of worried about, should they keep this thing going, or should they look at players that are doing very well and trade those players for a superstar? I think that should be Cam Whitmore. I think that should be Jalen Green, one of those players. Put Jayshawn Tate in there, throw a couple of first rounders, and put the Suns out of their misery and get Devin Booker. Okay, like that's what they should do.
Yeah, that was the tail end of what I was saying, though. Like, in terms of the identity for the Rockets might not be there, and they're still winning, which is great. I just think Raphael Stone and the front office have their work cut out for them in terms of, personally, I'm not saying blow it up. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But there are moves to be made to take this team from, like, they're 2 seed right now. I think they'll still sit firmly in, definitely the top half of the West, probably still miss the play-in, or get in the playoffs and not have to play in the play-in.
They'll definitely be a top 5 seed.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think, though, with how strong this league is, you have to make moves. You have to kind of build some sort of brand. I think you have the coach to go ahead and kind of start anew with that. Do you have all the assets you need? Not quite yet. It's right there, though. Whether that means, giving up on the Jalen Green experiment, despite him being a 2nd overall pick, and just sinking that cost, and going after, like you said, maybe you do go for a Devin Booker. Maybe not that big of ambitions, whatever it happens to be. Something I think has to be done by Stone in the front office.
There's Jimmy Butler too. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and like both of you kind of like set up my point for this. I was going to say, like, Jeremy, not like what you think they're going to do, but like what you want. Like, Houston has, like, they have, like, not pressure. I'm trying to think of like the right way to say this, but Houston kind of controls their own destiny in the sense of, like, because they still have draft picks, they have a young roster, and then that it's like incredibly exceeding expectations right now, 2nd seed of the West, but they're still young. Like, they're a top 5 basketball team, but I don't think they're a top 5 championship contender right now. And this is kind of like their first year of it. So do you think, like, would you want them to kind of like chase it now and like kind of give up on like those players, like Andy was saying, like the Cam Whitmore, the Jalen Green, like something like people that aren't a part of the like long-term thing? Or do you just want a first year, wait it out, see what this young team can do when like Udoka's first real chance of winning in Houston, and then figure that stuff out in the offseason? Because for me, if I was Raphael Stone, I'm looking at it of like, I'm listening to offers. I might not necessarily make one, because I think regardless of what path Houston takes, I think you have to look at it more as in fit rather than opportunity. Because like you mentioned Phoenix and like Devin Booker. Phoenix, they took the opportunity. They tried to do everything. They got Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. They sacrificed their whole future for this. Like Kevin Durant, they got rid of Bridges, Cam Johnson, a bunch of other stuff. And like, they're not even like, they're barely I don't even think they're in the play-in right now. So like, do you want to, I think it's more based on, you got to find the right fit. Like, I don't know if Jimmy Butler is the right fit. Devin Booker, if you get Devin Booker, that I think's worth it.
I think Devin Booker would be great. I think it would cement, like, okay, we're a playoff team, and this is the team that's going to be what the Rockets' identity is for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because he's young enough where he has that window, and he's good enough that he doesn't need someone else to do it. Like
exactly. Fred VanVleet has a club option next year in year 3. So there was probably a hopeful thinking of mine that maybe that they would, let Fred go, take some of that cash, and if they didn't have a successful season this year, take some of that cash and put money towards getting a superstar player, because they would probably like drop the club option and maybe put Amin as the focal point of maybe the point guard, kind of like a Ben Simmons type role, but with an actual jump shot.
Like good,
good, yeah, and then go after a free agent or go after a trade. But since they're doing so well, why not? I'll go all the way. They have so many young assets. They're not like in Phoenix's situation where they're just giving up all their assets for three ball dominant players, or maybe two, but one of them isn't really a true point guard. They have so many other assets they can use in their draft picks, in their rookie system, in their young players who may not fit very well on their team. Jalen Green, maybe Fred VanVleet could also be used in a trade. But I don't think anyone's going to want that contract. I don't think. But there's a lot of ways that they could go, a lot of directions they could choose. But it's just that they just have so many choices to choose from. It's overwhelming. It must be overwhelming in Stone's point of view. Like, he's doing really well, but he's not sure when he should pull the trigger. And I think it's not a bad idea to do it now. Try to see if they could go for it now, because you still have Amen, you still have Tari, you still have Jabari Smith, you still have Alperen Şengün. You still have players who have contributed really well to this great start of a season, and you can add Booker in there. And you're set. You're set for a good few years at least.
Yeah, I think a lot of front offices are hopefully watching and learning from some of the experiments of when you have a core and you keep it together too long, and then you stay not really in contention, but not also so bad that you blow it up and get like a top 3 pick or something, i.e. the Chicago Bulls. I hate ripping on them, but they're such an easy target because they're doing the same thing again. And I'm not going to get on the Bulls train or whatever like that. I just hope that
I'm glad Lonzo's playing.
Yeah, I was going to say I think he's got their best like plus minus like team wide over however many recent games they've played or whatever. Yeah. And they got a win over the Knicks on Derrick Rose's jersey retirement night. Maybe that makes up for their another.
Well, when they announced it, they didn't retire his jersey yet, but it was when they announced it.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I hope the Rockets. I think one of the hardest things to do in the world of sports, as someone, as for people who don't play, is kind of lead the. I mean, being a GM is hard enough as it is, but when you have to be a team that's kind of like right there, it has to make that next step, because whatever decision you make or don't make changes the trajectory of the entire franchise for like 10 years, no matter what you do or don't do. So, like, I hope the Rockets get it right. I actually would like to see a young Rockets team find their identity and compete and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, not even just saying that because you're on this call, Jeremy. I think it'd
be fun. I appreciate it. I can sense your genuine, like, support. I can sense it. It's nice.
I got you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. This could all be solved if Jalen Green could have a consistent scoring basketball. If he could score the basketball consistently, this could all be solved. We wouldn't have to. I would not be spending 20 minutes talking about it if Jalen Green could actually score the basketball on a nightly basis. But I digress.
Yeah, no, that would be a much different conversation we're having here. It wouldn't be 20 minutes. You'd be doing victory laps right now, saying we got our guy. But hey,
we got our guy. We don't need to make any trades. We're good. Maybe trade away. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe. I really don't know. I can't think of anybody right now. Jeff Green. Trade away Jeff Green.
Uncle Jeff.
Even you said going into this year, Jeremy, though, you knew this wasn't the year for you guys to put it all together or anything. But you wanted to see something out of them.
Seed.
Yeah,
but
I mean, hey, you can't ask for much better than what you got going on right now.
No, yes, it's way better than what I've asked for. Way better than what I even anticipated. So
there you go.
All right.
You got to win the West, though.
That'll come in time. I mean, hey, the OKC they were the first seed last year, and they didn't get past the Mavericks because of experience. So
yeah, the year before they jumped from like the 9 seed all the way up, right? It was like they were out of the play-in.
They were in the play-in.
First seed. Yeah,
they were in the play-in, and then the first seed the next season. So
the Thunder are doing this all, and the Thunder have been doing this all without Chet Holmgren too, which is crazy.
Dude, the Thunder they would be like the Warriors, 2016 Warriors, if they had Chet Holmgren back. They would be
the 72-9 year?
73-9?
Or 73-9?
Maybe the 2015 Warriors, I'll say. The 67-15 Warriors.
I did not like that team.
They were fun.
They were fun as an outsider perspective. But
you guys had 2 players injured, and LeBron took him to 6 games. Okay, relax.
Dude, Sean Livingston didn't miss a mid-range shot the entire year. I swear to God, he did not miss a mid-range jumper.
Oh, those were the days, dude. That's 10 years ago. Man. Those were
Yeah, I
the
was
days.
in middle school.
I was a senior in high school.
I was a
Crazy.
freshman in high school.
Crazy.
God, we're onk status. as
We're
the
onks.
kids say.
We're
What?
seriously onks, dude. It's insane.
Oh, my
All
God.
right. I think we can cut this podcast short. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, everybody. Find us on Spotify. Find us on YouTube. Reels on Instagram, TikTok at Cut the Nets BSP. Any last words you guys want to
I'll
chime
start.
in? Okay.
I like to apologize for incorrect information. The Cavs are not 32-4 because they just beat the Raptors, baby. We're 33-4. Let's go, Cavs. Come on, baby.
I saw that. I checked the score. It was like 5 minutes left, and they were down by 1. I'm looking at like the scoring distribution of the Raptors. I'm like, this is a very balanced way of scoring. Where's the defense, Cavs? Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. Did Donnie? No, Donovan did not play tonight.
No, he
so
did not
that
play.
was
That's
a big
probably,
thing, I guess.
Donovan
but-
less Cavs. He did not
Darius
play.
had 40? Oh, my
Damn.
God. I got to watch highlights of this. Jeez.
Well, the NBA just posted it, so.
Yeah. Brian, anything?
No, I thought. To say goodbye or just in general.
Yeah. Any last words?
Say whatever you want, dude.
Oh,
Any
hopefully we'll be
shout-outs?
more consistent for you boys and girls. I don't discriminate. Basketball fans.
Good
Yo,
save. Good save.
Good save, man. Caitlin Clark is great.
Oh, I love Caitlin Clark. So and Cameron
Angel-
Brink too. Don't forget about Cameron
Angel
Brink.
Reese's. She's
That's
a
my
woman.
dog.
But yeah, check us out. Another episode soon. Let's hope the Knicks keep on winning.
All right. I'll end off with the highlight dunk of the week, the left-hand dunk by a 40-year-old geezer. That was a
Okay.
pretty sweet dunk, but the Lakers lost that game, so it really
Yeah,
doesn't
it sucked.
matter in the end. I just love that highlight. It was a great highlight. I thought that LeBron just jumped into the fountain of youth just a little bit there. That was amazing. Oh, and the LaMelo Ball alley-oop pass that led to a foul.
Oh, yeah. Off the backboard or whatever?
Yeah, he just like hit the backboard and was about to shoot, but then he decided to pass the ball after he got the ball back from the backboard. And and it led
My
to a
favorite
foul.
part about that clip is you can hear Kevin Durant say, and you can censor me if there's no swearing allowed. As soon as LaMelo does it, he turns around, puts both hands up, and goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
He just had no
Tyler
idea
Hero
what
just
he was
broke a
doing.
Heat record.
What
He
happened?
just did. What happened?
Yeah, 70 straight games with at least one 3-pointer.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Most in franchise history.
cute. Next time you should come with some gloves.
I get it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. It's going to Cut the Nets on all our social medias. As I said before, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time on the Cut the Nets podcast. All right.
Yahoo!